Hi, my name is Cassidy Chang. I'm 19 years old. I graduated from Kaiser in 2020 and I want to attend KCC to be a radiologist. And this is my grandpa and he is a stevedore at Matson.
Hello, my name is James Lahaney. I am a current member of the ILWU. I'm currently employed by McCabe Hamilton Rennie as a Marine clerk. A little bit about me. I grew up on the East Coast where my dad worked on Wall Street. He was a controller for the United Bank of Switzerland. I didn't really know a lot about unions. There weren't a lot of unions where I grew up. I received a degree in business administration. And like most 20-year-olds, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I wasn't sure where my career would take me. There was a Union Ford plant the next town over from where I grew up. And it was a huge manufacturing plant. And they employed thousands of people. Even though I didn't know anybody who worked there, those were always great jobs if you could get in. Great union jobs. And so that was back in the 70s. I moved to Oahu in the early 80s, and I had an opportunity to become a stevedore. A friend of mine asked me, do you want to be a stevedore? And my first question was, what's a stevedore? I had no idea what that was. And he said, well, they work on the docks and they work a lot of hours and it's dangerous, but they make good money. So my friend was friends with Tim Gard, who was the owner of McCabe Hamilton Rennie. So I was hired in 1988, and as they say, the rest is history. This year I make 33 years as an ILWU member, and it's been a fantastic career. I wouldn't trade it for anything. My family and I have enjoyed all the benefits, good wages. I was able to put my kids through private school, through college, bought ourselves a house, and now we're looking at a comfortable retirement, all thanks to the ILWU.
What is a union?
A union in general is a group of individuals or coworkers that work together to negotiate and then enforce a contract with management that guarantees them things like good wages, affordable health care, a safe working environment, job security, retirement benefits, and a stable work schedule. The main purpose of labor unions is to give workers the power to negotiate with employers for more favorable working conditions and other benefits. If the entire workforce bands together to pressure the company to meet its demands, there's a much greater chance that the company will comply. We're a democracy. We hold elections to elect our union officials to represent us in front of the company. Unfortunately, there's been a decline in union membership over the years. It's partly the result of changing jobs in the U.S. Healthcare, restaurant, and hospitality jobs are the fastest growing jobs in the U.S. And typically there's not a lot of high unionization rates. And this is during the same time when income inequality has been growing. Income inequality is a very real and serious problem in the U.S. The rich keep getting richer, the poor keep getting poorer. the middle class keeps shrinking. And it's sad. In Hawaii, the median cost of a house now on Oahu is $800,000. On Kauai, it's over $1 million. So most working people can't afford to buy a house. Back in the 60s, when I grew up, the typical family had a lot of kids and one breadwinner, right? The father worked. The mom always stayed home and took care of the kids. Today, that's very rare. Typically both parents have to work because of necessity, because the cost of living is so high and wages are so low. Every day in the newspaper, you read about layoffs, companies outsourcing their jobs, companies moving overseas, and this is all to increase profits. So the worker gets the short end of the stick. Companies, they're loyal to their shareholders, not to their employees. So that's why it's so important to have a union to kind of balance everything out. And Matson is a great example of where a union works. Matson has hundreds of union employees in Hawaii, and on the mainland, probably in the thousands. And they're all good jobs. We all enjoy decent wages, retirement, and medical benefits, so they can afford to pay all that. And last year, Matson still had $200 million in net revenue. So they're still profitable. So everybody's enjoying, it's a good working relationship. The employees are happy and Matson is still profitable. If you look at a company like Walmart, last year Walmart made over $15 billion in net revenue. And a company that's that profitable and they refuse to pay their workers a decent wage. They refuse to pay them insurance. So there's no reason why a company that's that profitable can't take care of their employees. Their employees are who built the company. They are the company. So there's got to be a balance in my view. There's been a long-term decline in wages over the last 40 years. While CEO compensation, CEO, the bosses, has grown 940% since 1978. While the typical worker compensation has only risen 12%. And that's before the pandemic hit. So the workers have been left behind. And the bosses, the CEOs, are making all the money.
What does collective bargaining mean?
Collective bargaining. That's a right of a worker. Every worker in the U.S. has this right. And it's recognized by the National Labor Relations Board. It's a right for you to collectively bargain with your coworkers. The National Labor Relations Act of 1935 made it illegal for any employer to deny union rights to an employee. It makes it illegal for employers to discriminate, to spy on, or to harass the employment of workers because of their union affiliation. So it gives you the right to become a union member, the right to organize, and it makes it illegal for them to retaliate against you for any kind of union organization or participation. It permits employees to work together as a unit instead of individually, to negotiate with employers on a more level playing field. by negotiating as a unit, employees, you have more bargaining power and more leverage at the bargaining table. Although they will never admit it, companies will take advantage of you given the opportunity. They will pay you as little as possible if they can. They will not provide medical insurance if they're not required to, and will not provide a retirement if they don't have to. They'd rather keep all of the profits for themselves, even though they'll never admit it. And most American workers want a union in their workplace, but very few have it, because the right to organize, even though it's guaranteed by federal law, is effectively canceled by a combination of legal and illegal employer intimidation tactics. Union membership to me has become a matter of survival. So the right to collective bargain is the key to solving this economic inequality. When workers have the ability to bargain collectively with their employers, the division of corporate profits is more equally shared between employees, management, and the shareholders.
What does the ILWU stand for?
ILWU stands for International Longshoremen and Warehousemen's Union. We're mainly on the West Coast, from San Diego up through Los Angeles, San Francisco, Portland, Seattle, Alaska, and Hawaii. We have about 42,000 members in the US and another 14,000 ILWU Canadian members. We are mainly longshore. We work on the docks, but we've also expanded now into hotels, bakeries, golf courses, and even cemeteries. The first longshore unions were formed in the 1800s, and the ILWU was founded in 1937. And the reason the ILWU was formed was to achieve a better life, so the workers could achieve a better life for themselves and their families. Back in the early 1900s, ships would come in unscheduled, and they were all loaded by hand. It was tough work. And before we were organized, everybody would just go down to the docks and wait on the docks. And the employers would pick whoever they wanted just for the day. And they required kickbacks. You'd have to give them a bribe. If you gave them a hard time, they would do what's called blackballing, so they wouldn't hire you again. And all these guys were just trying to provide for their family. So yeah, in the early 1900s, longshoremen were either unorganized or poorly organized. And it resulted in a whole different world than we have today. Companies took advantage of them. It was low pay and no job security. It was a very dangerous job with brutal working conditions, and there was a lot of discrimination and favoritism.
What do you think is the most important benefit that the union provides?
Although great wages, health care, and a generous pension are important, I feel safety is our most important benefit that the union provides. Workplace safety. All the money in the world doesn't matter if you don't come home at night. If you get killed on the job, all the money in the world doesn't matter. After 33 years on the waterfront, I've seen all kinds of accidents. I've seen guys get their feet run over. Unfortunately, there's been a few deaths down there. One of my co-workers, it was a different department, but he jumped off one of the tractors, one of the big cabs, and thought it was in park, and it was in reverse, and he got crushed between his cab and the container. Somebody else years ago went into the harbor on the forklift. He died. So there's been a few deaths and a lot of serious injuries. The waterfront is an inherently dangerous place to work. Our ships bring in thousands of containers, and sometimes they weigh up to 20 tons. We live on an island, so pretty much everything comes in by ship. If you look around this room, virtually everything came in a container on a ship. This furniture, your clothes, the construction material to build this house, pretty much everything comes in containers. Very little comes in at the airport through flights, through planes, because they don't have the capacity that a ship has. I've seen a lot of accidents. It's just a dangerous place, even though the union has made tremendous progress in safety. Cables snap, machines flip over, so it's really important to stay vigilant. And a lot of the new employees don't realize how dangerous it is down there. All the old timers have all seen serious accidents. All the old timers kind of know how quickly things can change. We had an unfortunate incident about 5 years ago at Pier 29, where there was this young girl. She was actually hired as a supervisor, and she was driving around on a golf cart. The piers are so large, we use golf carts to get around. And she came around a turn, and there was a truck coming the other way. And this girl she was in her mid-20s. She was a collegiate volleyball player, very athletic. She had her whole life ahead of her, and she got hit by a truck. And the last I heard, she's paralyzed from the neck down. So her whole life changed in an instant. So it's important to always be safe. And the union has done a tremendous job in it, but it's constantly an issue. The companies, of course, they don't want anybody to get hurt, but they'll look the other way. And I see it time and time again. They'll look the other way just to keep their cranes moving. Their biggest concern is productivity. They want to see how many cans they can get off per hour, right? So, it's really important for the union members to look out for each other and work along with OSHA to provide a safe working environment. In closing, I'd like to thank all the people that made this union what it is today, from all the old timers back in the early 1900s that put up with beatings and intimidation and even death. We had 6 ILWU workers that were shot on the West Coast back in what's known as Bloody Thursday. From the old timers back in the early 1900s to the countless union reps that go up against management every contract negotiation today, to all the union reps, and the business agents that go to arbitration. It's a lot of time, energy, and commitment. People literally lost their lives for the benefits that I enjoy today and my family enjoys. They did most of the hard work. My generation has it easy compared to what they put up with. All ILWU longshoremen today have a generous wage package, generous pension, and lifetime medical insurance. Our benefit package is unheard of in a non-union environment. I'd like to give a special thanks to Harriet Bouslog, Hawaii's first female civil rights and labor attorney. She did so much for us. She was a fearless advocate for the working people of Hawaii. Even though she passed away in 1998, her generosity and contributions to the ILWU and their families continues today. She's still helping us. She is still helping to educate us through these scholarships that she provides every year. What an awesome legacy. What an awesome legacy to be still giving back to the community after she has passed away. People like her change the world for a better place. As we say in the union, an injury to one is an injury to all.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to further my education at KCC and to learn about the unions and the ILWU. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.